2016 Atlanta Falcons. At halftime of Super Bowl 51, Atlanta was in control. Matt Ryan, the MVP, went 7 of 8 for 115 yards and 2 TDs in the second quarter. Julio Jones made highlight grabs, and Robert Alford's 82-yard pick six pushed the lead to 21-3 at the half. Midway through the third, Ryan capped an 85-yard drive with a TD to Tevin Coleman. At 8:31, it was 28-3, the largest lead in Super Bowl history, with win probability over 99%. Then came the collapse. Brady led a 13-play, 75-yard drive, finishing with James White from 5 yards. The missed extra point kept it 28-9. Early in the fourth, a 33-yard field goal cut it to 28-12. On Atlanta's next drive, Dante Hightower beat Devonta Freeman on a blitz and strip-sacked Ryan. The Patriots took over at the 25. Brady needed 5 plays to find Danny Amendola for 6, then White ran in the 2-point conversion, 28-20 with 5:56 left. Atlanta still had a chance. Julio Jones made a toe drag catch at the 22 with 4:40 remaining. A field goal ends it. Instead, a sack and a holding call forced a punt. Brady took over at his own 9 with 3:30 left. He went 9 of 10 on a 91-yard march, including Edelman's juggling catch at midfield. White scored from a yard with 57 left. Amendola converted the 2-point try. Tie game, 28-28.
Overtime rules gave the Patriots the ball first. Brady drove 75 yards and 5 completions. From the 2, White powered in for the walk-off. Final, 34-28. Brady set a Super Bowl record with 466 yards. Ryan's 284 and 2 TDs weren't enough. He never touched the ball in OT. Jones's miracle catch was erased by defeat. The 28-3 meltdown wasn't one play, but a chain of failures. Play calling, blocking, clock management, and it left Atlanta scarred ever since.
2007 New England Patriots. No team had dominated like the 2007 Patriots. They went 16-0, the first perfect season since 1972. Tom Brady threw a record 50 touchdowns. Randy Moss set the single-season mark with 23. Their average win margin topped 2 scores. They weren't just winning, they were dismantling opponents. At 18-0, they were 1 win from immortality. But the Giants' pass rush, Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck, Osi Umenyiora, mauled Brady, hitting him 20 times and sacking him 5. Through 3 quarters, the Patriots had only 7 points, their lowest output of the year. In the fourth, Eli Manning connected with David Tyree for a 5-yard score, Giants up 10-7. Brady responded with what looked like the championship drive. 12 plays, 80 yards, capped by a 6-yard strike to Moss at 2:42. New England led 14-10, 2 minutes from perfection. Then came the collapse. With 1:15 left, facing 3rd and 5 at his own 44, Manning escaped a near sack, rolled right, and hurled downfield. Tyree rose, pinned the ball to his helmet, and held on for 32 yards. One of the most improbable catches in NFL history. 4 plays later, Manning hit Plaxico Burress for the go-ahead touchdown with 35 seconds left. Giants 17-14. Brady had 29 seconds and 3 timeouts. First down, incomplete to Gaffney. Second down, Jay Alford sacked him for -10. Timeout. Third down, deep shot to Moss, broken up. Timeout. Fourth down, one last heave to Moss, batted away. Turnover on downs. One kneel ended the perfect season. Brady and Moss never won a Super Bowl together. The 18-1 year remains both the greatest statistical run and the most infamous collapse in NFL history. For the Giants, it launched Eli Manning's legend. For the Patriots, it was the fall from immortality. 1998 Minnesota Vikings. The 1998 Vikings went 15-1, setting an NFL record with 556 points. Randall Cunningham threw 34 touchdowns. Rookie Randy Moss posted 1,313 yards and 17 scores. Chris Carter added 12 more. Kicker Gary Anderson was perfect. 35 for 35 on field goals. 59 for 59 on extra points. In the NFC Championship, Minnesota looked destined for the Super Bowl. Cunningham hit Moss for a 31-yard touchdown, and by late in the second quarter, the Vikings led 20-7. The Metrodome shook. The first crack came with 1:14 left in the half, when Cunningham was strip-sacked at his own 14. Chris Chandler immediately found Terrence Mathis for a touchdown. Instead of 20-7, it was 20-14. In the third, Robert Smith's rushing score stretched it to 27-14, but Atlanta answered with a 70-yard drive and another Chandler touchdown, 27-20 entering the fourth. Mortgage's offense stalled. With 8:12 left, Morton Anderson missed a 38-yarder wide right, but the Vikings still held the lead.
Then came the defining moment.
With 2:07 left, Gary Anderson lined up from 38 yards. He hadn't missed all season. 35 straight. A make meant the Super Bowl. He missed wide left.
Atlanta capitalized, driving 71 yards in 8 plays. Chandler to Mathis tied at 27-27 with 57 seconds left. With 2 timeouts, Minnesota had a chance but chose to kneel. The league's most explosive offense played for overtime. In OT, after punts both ways, Atlanta started at its own 39. Chandler hit O.J. Santiago for 26, Jamal Anderson added 13, and Morton Anderson redeemed himself from 38. Final 30-27. Falcons to the Super Bowl. Minnesota's dream dead. The fallout was brutal. Moss and Carter kept producing, but the Vikings never returned to the Super Bowl. Gary Anderson's miss remains infamous. Dennis Green's decision to kneel is still second-guessed. It wasn't just one play. It was a slow bleed. Turnovers, missed chances, and conservative calls. The NFL's most powerful offense collapsed when it mattered most. 2015 Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers came out of nowhere in 2015. The year before, they went 7-8-1. One season later, they finished 15-1, the best record in football. Cam Newton accounted for 45 touchdowns, won MVP, and looked like the face of the league. Their defense, led by Luke Kuechly, Josh Norman, and Thomas Davis, dominated. They rolled through Seattle and crushed. Arizona, entering Super Bowl 50 as heavy favorites. From the start, Denver smothered them. On Carolina's second possession, 3rd and 10 at their own 15, Von Miller blew past Mike Remmers and stripped Newton. Malik Jackson fell on the ball in the end zone. Broncos 10-0 before Carolina had a first down. Carolina answered with a Graham Gano field goal and a 73-yard drive capped by Jonathan Stewart's leap. At 10-7, they were back in it, but Denver kept control. Brandon McManus hit from 34 and 33, pushing it to 16-7 at halftime. Manning had just 141 passing yards, no touchdowns, but Denver's defense made the difference. In the third, Gano's 44-yarder cut it to 16-10. Another chance, but Newton was picked off by TJ Ward. Von Miller hit him again the next series. Drops piled up. The NFL's best offense was unraveling. Down 16-10 with 4 minutes left. Carolina still had the ball. On 3rd and 9, Miller stripped Newton again, his second of the night. Ward recovered at the 4, and CJ Anderson scored 2 plays later. Broncos 24-10. That was the kill shot. Newton finished 18 of 41 for 265 yards, no touchdowns, 3 turnovers. He was sacked 7 times and hit 13. Carolina never scored again after the 11-minute mark of the third. The collapse didn't end that night. Newton's post-game press conference, slouched in a hoodie, 2-word answers, then walking out, became infamous. His MVP season proved to be his peak. The next year, they fell to 6-10. Within 4 seasons, Newton, Kuechly, Norman, and Rivera were all gone. The 2015 Panthers looked like the NFL's next great power, but in one night, they were stripped, smothered, and broken. A one-year phenomenon swallowed whole. 1993 Houston Oilers. The 1993 Oilers looked finished at 1-4, then everything clicked. Warren Moon settled into the run and shoot. The defense, stacked with Sean Jones, Ray Childress, and Bubba McDowell, started dominating. Houston won 11 straight to finish 12-4, the hottest team in football. Along the way, they destroyed Kansas City 30-0. No AFC contender entered the playoffs looking more dangerous, but the cracks were already there. The season was marked by dysfunction. Offensive coordinator Kevin Gilbride clashing with defensive coordinator Buddy Ryan, and even a sideline punch between the two in Week 17. The Oilers were winning, but barely holding together. In the divisional round against Kansas City, Houston came out fast. Al Del Greco hit a 49-yard field goal. Moon connected with Haywood Jeffers for a 7-yard touchdown. By the end of the first quarter, the Oilers led 10-0 and looked like the juggernaut that had stormed through the season. That's where the slide began. The second quarter passed scoreless, but the momentum shifted. Early in the third, Joe Montana found Keith Cash from 7 yards out. Lead cut to 10-7. By the end of the quarter, Kansas City had tied it 13-13. The fourth quarter was the collapse. Step by step, clock on the wall. 8:38, a Montana, J.J. Burden, 11 yards. Chiefs lead 14-13. 7:44, 2 touchdowns in 54 seconds. After Moon fumbles, Montana, Willie Davis, 18 yards. Chiefs 21-13. 3:35, Moon, Ernest Givens, 7 yards. Oilers pull to 21-20. 1:55, Marcus Allen, 21-yard run. Chiefs 28-20s, the clincher. The Astrodome was silent. The fallout was immediate. The coaching staff fractured. Buddy Ryan left for Arizona. Jack Pardee was fired the next season. Within 3 years, the roster was gone and the franchise relocated to Tennessee. The 1993 Oilers had risen from 1-4 to the NFL's hottest team, but when it mattered, their internal chaos caught them, and the run ended not with glory, but collapse. 2010 San Diego Chargers, the best team to miss the playoffs. On paper, the 2010 Chargers were unbeatable. They finished with the NFL's #1 offense in yards and #1 defense in yards allowed. The only team in history to do both and miss the playoffs. Phillip Rivers led the league with 4,610 yards and 30 touchdowns. Antonio Gates had 10 TDs in 10 games. Rookie Ryan Matthews added balance, and Sean Phillips anchored a pass rush with 47 sacks. But their downfall was special teams. Week 1 set the tone. Kansas City's Dexter McCluster returned a punt 94 yards for a touchdown, and Jamal Charles ripped a 56-yarder. San Diego outgained the Chiefs 389 to 197, but lost 21-14. Week 3, Seattle's Leon Washington housed 2 kickoffs, 101 and 99 yards. Chargers piled up 518 yards to 271, yet lost 27-20. Week 6, St. Louis blocked a punt, setting up an early score. Despite holding the Rams to 287 yards, San Diego lost 20-17. Week 7, against New England, they fumbled a punt, allowed another blocked punt, and gave the Patriots 13 points off miscues. Rivers threw for 336 yards. The Chargers outgained New England by nearly 200 and still lost 23-20. By mid-season, they were 2-5 despite outgaining every opponent. Special teams had already surrendered 3 blocked punts, 3 returned TDs, and endless short fields. They rallied, winning 4 straight to get to 6-5, then reaching 8-6 after Rivers threw 3 TDs against the 49ers. Playoff hopes were alive. But Week 16 ended it. Cincinnati's Quan Cosby returned a punt 30 yards to set up a touchdown. Rivers threw 2 interceptions, and the Chargers fell 34-20, eliminated. They finished 9-7, the league's top offense, top defense, and passing leader, but no postseason. The fallout, Norv Turner lasted 2 more seasons without another AFC title run. Rivers, Gates, and Vincent Jackson kept producing, but the window closed. The 2010 Chargers proved the brutal truth. Stats don't win games, execution does, and the best team ever to miss the playoffs was undone by special teams. 2012 Baltimore Ravens. The 2012 Ravens opened 9-2 with Joe Flacco hitting deep shots to Torrey Smith.
Ray Rice powering the ground game and Ray Lewis still anchoring the defense.
By late November, they looked like one of the AFC's safest bets. Then came a 3-game skid, their first in 4 years. Week 13 versus Steelers, Charlie Batch at QB. Up 20-13 in the fourth, Baltimore gave up a tying TD to Heath Miller and lost on a last-second field goal, 23-20. Week 14 versus Washington, ahead 28-20 late. They surrendered a Kirk Cousins-led drive after Robert Griffin III went down. In overtime, a 64-yard punt return set up Washington's winning kick. 31-28, Week 15 versus Denver. At home, they were dominated.
Peyton Manning threw for 204 yards, Noshawn Moreno ran for 118,
and Chris Harris Jr. returned a 98-yard pick six. Denver led 31-3 at one point, winning 34-17. Baltimore was 9-5, its division lead shrinking. The defense looked old, the offense stagnant. John Harbaugh even fired OC Cam Cameron after the Denver loss. But unlike other collapses, this one didn't finish them. The Ravens steadied, beat the Giants and Colts, then launched a playoff run for the ages. They shocked Denver in double OT with the mile-high miracle, beat New England in Foxborough, and won Super Bowl 47 over San Francisco. The 2012 Ravens nearly collapsed in December, but in January they finished as champions. 2023 Philadelphia Eagles. The 2023 Eagles started like champions. Coming off a narrow Super Bowl loss, they returned with one of the NFL's deepest rosters. Jalen Hurts ran the league's best offensive line, with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith stretching defenses. Rookie Jalen Carter strengthened the front. By Week 12, they were 10-1, holding the NFC's best record and looked bound for another title run. Then came the collapse. Week 13 versus San Francisco gave up 456 yards in a 42-19 home loss, surrendering 8.2 yards per play. Hurts managed 298 yards and a touchdown. Week 14 at Dallas, Cowboys rolled for 394 yards. Hurts was sacked 3 times. Eagles routed 33-13 from 10-1 to 10-3. Week 15 at Seattle, Geno Smith, returning from injury, hit Jackson Smith and Jigba for the winning 29-yard TD with 28 left. Seattle 2017. Week 16 versus Arizona, 3-12. Cardinals ran for 221 yards, dominated time of possession, and stunned Philly 35-31. Fans booed them off the field. Week 18 at New York, Hurts threw 2 picks. Offense mustered 10 points. Giants 27-10, from 10-1 to 11-6. The wild card round was worse. Tampa shredded them 32-9. Baker Mayfield threw for 337 and 3 touchdowns. Hurts averaged 3.7 yards per attempt, and the defense gave up scores on 5 of 6 first-half drives. The game was over by halftime. The fallout was swift. OC Brian Johnson and DC Sean Desai were fired. Veterans like Fletcher Cox and Jason Kels faced retirement. The Eagles went from 10-1 favorites to a 1-6 collapse and one of the ugliest playoff exits in franchise history. One stretch didn't just end a season, it exposed a roster that was never as strong as its record. If you want more stories of NFL greatness and collapse, hit subscribe, drop a like, and stick around. The next chapter of football history is already waiting.